and I am just waiting to see it over here, and then we will rock and roll.
All right.
And even if I don't see it, I'm gonna just start because I know it's on. Because the button is red. Okay, okay. So, welcome, beauty entrepreneurs. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening to come chat with me, with us. Okay. Tonight we have a very special guest, right? Before I introduce her, I'm gonna say it is so good to be back. When I say by back, I mean like I took like a little bit of a hiatus, and I'm sure you guys know and understand the extended tax season. But man, when I tell y'all, it was one for the books. But the clients come first, and I committed to serving them as they so deserve to be served. But now that that is like in the books, if we're gonna get back to kind of like our weekly scheduled lives and curriculum that we normally do. And I am very happy to be kicking this first one off with Miss Reonna. She is a trademark attorney specifically for beautypreneurs. And what I love is that she is one of your own. So it ain't like me, right? I just was like, I love beautypreneurs because I love the beauty industry. So I'm gonna specialize in beauty. No, no, no. She has been in it. So she has like this experience and able to talk to you all in your organic language. She knows what you're going through, and that way she's able to most effectively serve you in what you need, right? There's nothing like someone that really knows the ins and outs of your industry. So I'm very happy to be introducing her tonight, Miss Reonna Green. Her firm is She Trademarks. Don't we just love that name? She. It's like an innocence. I love the fellas, but there's nothing like she and female. I like that. But anyhow, I put her bio. First of all, your bio is one of the most incredibly written bios I have ever read. I have ever read. Okay, I put it on Instagram and Facebook underneath the post telling folks about this event. But literally, me reading it would do no justice because it was like it was incredible. Did you write that yourself?
No, and my PR girl that has been going through revisions with me because I was like, I don't like this sentence. She's gonna be so happy to hear that it was the most incredible one you've ever
Ever.
read. She's gonna like that. So shout
Yes.
out to her. Thank you so much for dealing with me.
I've had several. I've had several guests in our community, and their bios were great, but yours was like, you know how you like at an award show and someone brings up the guest. That's how yours was, and I was like, this should be read off a teleprompter. So, Rihanna, before we get into the specific questions about trademarking beauty brands, please tell us about yourself. It's specifically like your experience as a beautypreneur in your firm.
Sure, yeah. So I have been licensed since I was 16 in the beauty industry. I started off in high school taking elective classes that, led me to be able to take my manicuring license at 16. And then I realized I always knew I didn't really want to do nails per se. I was more into the hair and the makeup. And so I completed my cosmetology at 17, was licensed for Cosmo, and then started working at Supercuts. Was my second job. Master Cuts was first. But so started working in the industry right away, and then continued on to go to undergrad and then law school. And during that whole entire time, I was doing hair, working around my school schedule, but being a beautypreneur, being a licensed cosmetologist, really gave me that flexibility, allowed me to do that.
Mhm.
And that is kind of the combination of both of those things. I finished law school, started being a civil litigator. what ended up really happening was, because I am a beauty pro myself, though I don't really do hair anymore, I still keep my license for that discount. So all of my friends are still in the industry. And, just kind of sitting around, I would hear some of their complaints about clients or about no-shows, late fees, all that stuff. And then on my law side, working as a civil litigator, I was doing insurance defense. And I would see kind of salon cases come through. I would see cases against stylists come through for one reason or another. And that's just kind of how I was combined everything. It was kind of like an aha moment. I was like, wow, I could really do something with my legal knowledge and my beauty background, and I really could help the beauty industry. So that's what happened, and that's how She Trademarks is here.
Nice. That's awesome. So I know we're talking about trademarks tonight, but if the beautypreneurs are out there watching, um, could you help them with the other type of stuff? Like you mentioned, like I always get this question, and don't ask me about legal stuff because I'm not an attorney. That's my disclaimer here, okay? But they'll ask me about contracts and policy and if it's enforceable, and could you be a resource for them for things like that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So policies on I'll just give everybody a big hint. Policies on your social media are not going to stand up as far as, somebody no shows or there's a late fee associated with a late cancellation or whatever. And you're like, well, it was on my social media. No, you're going to need some type of contract, right? Preferably a client services agreement. And that's something I can definitely help with. I have crafted and created contracts specifically for the beauty professional, made by a beauty professional and an attorney. So you can really rest assured that the contracts that I have for the specific industry are for you. So I can definitely help with custom ones too.
Yeah, so make a note right now, beautypreneurs, and we're about to get started. We finna put her Reonna in the hot seat right now. So make sure you have a pen and some paper so we can really, and if you have any questions, do not wait to the end. Drop them in the comments and we'll address them along the way.
Please.
But the policies and the contracts, those are real, because one thing about the beauty industry is, and this is what I'm just hearing feedback from my own clients, time is valuable. So when you got somebody that's booking time and they ain't showing up, you didn't get paid from their service, but somebody else probably likely missed out on that time, and you missed out on that money too. And
right.
So you can put in your policies, in your contracts, to be compensated in some way for that. And so keep that in mind. Write a little note right now to be like, reach out to Reonna to talk about how we're gonna put some of this stuff in contract and in writing so you don't lose out on your money. And it's a way of, it's a way of, I hate to use this term, but training, setting expectations between your clients. So keep that in mind as well. Okay. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. Now, just a disclaimer, we've had a conversation on trademarking like in May, June. Okay. But this conversation is not like one and done. It's ever expanding, ever expanding. And so it is to be introduced and rehab as a reminder. This this is not a game, guys. This is like for real. Your brand can, I won't say come crashing down. I hate to be super dramatic, but I have seen brands that were not protected have to completely start all over because somebody else came and took their name and trademarked it. Okay.
Yeah.
And then before we started this live, I was on IG Live, and I was saying it causes some confusion with the consumer as well, because they thinking they coming to you because y'all got similar or same names, and they're going to them, and really it's not even the same situation. So that's why we're going to continue to have this conversation, guys. Okay. So Reonna, tell us, what is a trademark? What is it for? Why is this important?
So a trademark in the basic definition, right? Gives you the exclusive ownership rights over your business name, logo, catchphrase, slogan. You can even trademark colors, like UPS has the brown trademarked, okay? So it is really going to, yeah, they do. UPS brown is trademarked, right? It's a fun fact. You are going to have the exclusive ownership rights in that business name or slogan or whatever the case is in relation to the goods or services that you are offering.
Okay, that was a lot. That answer was, first of all, I didn't know you could trademark a color.
Mm-hmm.
A color, like
Color.
the specific like hex code.
Yeah, so like the orange on the orange that's used on the Reese's peanut butter cups, right? That orange, also trademarked in relation to Reese's peanut butter cups. Yeah.
Really? See, and the reason the company, the corporations know this, the big dogs know this because they got a whole team of IP lawyers employed to be looking out for this. So that is very, very good to know. We do have one question. I'm gonna bring that up for you. About the policies conversation that we talked about earlier. So if the policies are on the booking site when they book and they pay the deposit, is that like agreement?
Okay, so I need a little bit more clarification. When you say it's on the booking site, so they go and they book, are they having a pop-up come out and are they check marking that pop-up saying like, I agree to the policies or the terms and conditions of booking this appointment? If yes, then you're doing a pretty good job, right? You are alerting them to the fact that you have this policy. They have to do that one extra step of checking the box before they can submit. You can show that there is some type of agreement there. When I say that just kind of having your policies out there, I'm talking about like you have a highlight on your Instagram stories that says, these are my policies, and then you enforce them when somebody no-shows.
Yeah, okay. Super vague, but if you get super specific and they gotta, they click that box, yes, I agree, you got them hooked. And I'm assuming the beautypreneur has to like save that somehow, right? They have to
Yeah,
keep
depending on
it.
their booking system, it needs to be kind of documented. I would say that I would prefer if you're doing some type of booking system, that's one way to kind of rehash what your policies are. But I'm always going to be of the, you need a client services contract for them to sign when they become your a client. You can do that through most of the very big booking systems like Vagaro. You can upload your own forms, have them sign it. Then you have a signature, a timestamp, and it's connected to a certain email. And you have all those three things that are really going to help you if you have any issues with that later.
Yeah, okay. Got it. All right, take note of that. That's like Reonna has already given us a super big win on that one. Super big win on that one. Got to train your audience, train your clients. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about trademarking specifically for the beauty industry, because why I feel like this is very important is because you get some really clever, cute names. Like that's like one of the first things beautypreneurs do when they know they finna go independent.
Yeah.
What am I gonna call myself?
What
So
brand, right?
could you please explain, like, I want to hear from the expert, even before you thinking about LLC and all of this other stuff. When you think of that name and you go independent and you start making flyers and social media handles and websites or whatever, why is it important to protect that early on?
Sure. So the main reason why you want to protect your name early on is because let's say you come up with this cute name and maybe you do a search and nobody's using it. Like you have something that is really unique and really just, fire out there, right? So you're like, okay, cool. Nobody's using it. Let me get a website. Let me start making these flyers. I got the social media handle. I got the the website domain, and I'm going to run with this brand and run with this name. That's all fine and dandy that you did a search, and it might have just been a preliminary search, but you did a search. It appeared to be free. But if you wait too long, just because it was free yesterday doesn't mean it's going to be free tomorrow. So by the time you put all this money in, now you spent 2, 3. I've seen and heard some people charging like 8 grand for websites. So it's a big range, right? But you spent all this money doing your website. You have filed for your LLC. You're spending money on logos, graphic designers, et cetera, et cetera. And then by the time you really start making that money and your brand is getting big, you go to trademark it, and then you find out, oh, well, nobody had it on the day that I looked, but now somebody has it. So now you've got quite a few issues, right? You're out money for everything that you spent because you're going to need to rebrand because you're infringing on somebody else's trademark rights.
Wow. Okay, so when they think of a name, let's say they think of a name and they pick out colors, they do a logo and the slogan. Is your recommendation to trademark? Is that 4 different trademarks?
So yeah, you would do your slogan's going to be one mark itself. Your business name would be another mark. These are word marks. Your logo would be a design mark. And then your colors kind of fall into the design mark category too.
Okay. Okay. Now what's how you see like TM, that's trademark, but then you have this R. What is the R? The
So the
difference
R,
between the two.
yeah, the R means it is a registered trademark. It's actually gone through the trademark services, process, and it is registered. It is legit. TM really doesn't mean anything to be honest. You could start using it when you file an application, kind of alerting the public that you're claiming trademark rights to this. But lots of times people will put TM after their name and not be doing anything with it, just kind of alerting the public that they're using it. But it doesn't mean that there's an application out there. It doesn't mean, anything particularly, but that R in the circle means that it is a registered trademark and it's letting people know I own this.
Okay. All right. We do have this is not a question, it's just a comment. And I want you to kind of like myth bust this right now, right? So J Miz, she's saying that a local attorney, she asked the local attorney about trademarks, and the trademark attorney advised her that it's only necessary if goods and services are exchanged over state lines. Is that right?
So it gets kind of tricky. So technically, you have to show interstate commerce in order to get your trademark. So you have to show that goods or services are being exchanged over federal lines in order for your federal trademark. If you have a standalone shop or something just in, let's say, Texas or California, and there's nothing going over state lines, you can get a state trademark. You might not necessarily qualify for a federal trademark, but it kind of gets tricky because let's say you're in one of those metro areas that is like East Coast where you are crossing over a state line really quickly. If you have customers or clients that you're servicing in that other state, even though you only have one shop, they might be, crossing over state lines to get there. You can qualify for a trademark, a federal trademark. If you are selling any type of goods or coaching and you are having clients in other states, or if you offer, a lot of people are doing online courses, right? And so they are offering either lash courses or technique courses or whatever the case is. Well, you have most likely clients in other states. So you can protect your name in relation to your online coaching, your online education, and things like that.
Oh my God. So you brought up an excellent point. Number one, as like the numbers person, I always, and this has been truly more encouraged from the results of the pandemic, to have more than one revenue stream, right?
Right.
In the case that you can't be there in person to service your clients, right? You get you a Shopify, you start selling products and or digital consultate, like the virtual consultations, or an aftercare kits, or DIY it, whatever. I encourage that, just to diversify your income streams, and likely you're going to do that online across state lines. So I think we should think in terms of what Rihanna just explained. First of all, I didn't know there was a difference between state and federal trademarks.
Right. Yeah, there is. So state trademarks you can get if there's that no interstate commerce, right? If you're just working
Mhm.
in your state. But the problem is you get a state trademark in California. California is really close to Arizona, at least we are where I am, and we're close to Nevada too. So if I start up Luscious Lashes in Southern California and I'm 2 hours or 3 hours away from Vegas or Arizona, then what happens if somebody pops up with a Luscious Lashes in Arizona or a Luscious Lashes in
Yeah.
Nevada? Because they can, because your trademark is only covering you in the state in which you registered it. And so that's why you get way more superior rights with a federal trademark than you do with a state one.
Absolutely. So, and for Jamie specifically, I'm calling her that because she is a client of mine. So specifically for her, she's in Chicago, and the way Chicago lies right on Lake Michigan, and so you got Wisconsin not too far away, then you got Indiana not too far away, and so I used to be in Illinois. I would go to Wisconsin all the time for a good hairstylist. So,
Yeah.
so keep that in mind, guys. Do not. I don't recommend you go for state only, but who knows how your beauty brand will expand over time. She's just going to knock it out. One thing I would love for you to do is, can you talk a bit about the investment, the mindset around the investment in the trademark, because that's one of like the main things I hear. It's like, oh, it's so expensive though, blah blah blah. And I'm not trying to belittle it. I get it, y'all. Like once upon a time I was a startup too, or just not, you know, just experienced and had boatloads of cash sitting around. So I totally get it. I don't want to belittle anybody's, cash flow situation. However, I think it's certain things about your business where you should kind of think of it differently and not like a sunk cost. So, can you talk a bit about that?
So I always say there is what you call needs in your business and what you call wants in your business, right? And I think that when you're starting a business, you really need to focus on your needs and not necessarily on your wants. So here's
Mhm.
how I play that out. As a brand new business, you want a really nice website, right? You want a very good logo. But if you don't have a nice website, is that going to be the end of the world? No. If your logo you made in Canva and it's working for you, but you didn't have a graphic designer do it, is that going to be the end of the world? No. Um, is a potential issue with your trademark after you have invested tons of money into your brand going to be an issue? Yeah. So if it's going to cause you an issue later down the road, then that's one of those things that you need and it's not a want, right? And so when you do get pushback on trademarks or on the legal part of your business when you're starting, because every startup has a limited budget for the most part, right? And so you're like, where can I put my money? Where do I need to put my money? And if you're not building it on the right foundations, then you can put all this money into your brand or your business and then have to rebrand or lose it all, right? And so
Mhm.
it's kind of like you don't want to spend the money on your trademark, but you need to if you plan on having this business around for the longevity. Otherwise, why do you want to build a business that someone else can come take? It's like renting it and you want to own it.
Mhm.
And the only way to own it is to make that investment in your business. And it's a value thing, right? Sometimes you're like, I don't want to pay, I'm not willing to pay, $2,000 on a trademark, but I'm willing to pay $5,000 on a coach or $5,000
Mhm.
on marketing or whatever. So it's not that you didn't have the money, it's that you didn't value the trademark, which means that
Mhm.
you didn't value the longevity of your business. I mean, honestly, if
Mhm.
you're just, if you break it down that way. And so that's kind of how I try to explain to people why legal is so important. You can't build a house or build an empire on a shoddy foundation.
Nice. Very well said. And I feel like they're not, I think, realizing that you are getting something in return. I mean, a trademark is IP. I mean, it's the start of a intellectual property portfolio. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
And just on your point on that, okay, so I like to give this example. let's talk about Kylie Cosmetics, right? She built this $1 billion company based off of her brand. If Kylie went to go sell it to Coty, which is the, big major makeup company that bought it, and she said, hey, I have this pink packaged beauty brand for you. I want to sell it to you for $1 billion. Cody's going to be like, yeah, okay, well, I can do my own pink package and I'm not paying you $1 billion for it. She didn't have some type of like proprietary, like grand new idea. Her eyeshadows are not so grand and so pigmented and, have like the fountain of youth in them. You know what I mean? That company is worth so much because of the name. It is worth so much because of the brand. And so really what they bought in addition, to everything else was really the brand name. They bought the brand and the following, and that's IP.
Yep. That's why every time you see these celebrities pop out a baby, they trademarking their name. They don't even know what that baby finna go be. They just trademark that name because they know that likeness is worth something. And I want everybody watching live and on the replay to know that your beauty brand is or will be worth something. So we need to protect that. We need to protect that. If you if you listen to this and you still be like, I don't need it, whatever, you are essentially telling me implicitly that you don't find a value in your brand. And therefore it needs no protection. That's what you're telling me.
Yeah, or you don't think your brand is going anywhere.
You don't think it's gonna pop.
I like to be surrounded by people who are like, my business might be little today or might be small today, but honey, tomorrow it's going to be an empire. Tomorrow, like I'm running a kingdom, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
You are building, you need to be thinking in the mindset of I'm building $1 billion brand. And if you're building $1 billion brand, then you're going to protect it. And so you need a trademark.
Absolutely. Okay. So let's say we have properly trademarked our name, our slogan, our logo, whatever we can. And we find out we're on the interwebs and we see a carbon copy, right?
Okay. Copy paste.
What can we do? What do we do? What can we, what rights do we have to say stop this madness?
Listen, this is my favorite. When you have a registered trademark, okay, and somebody's coming along and they are, copy pasting your whole idea, copy pasting your brand, your logo, your business name, and it doesn't even have to be an exact copy paste. If you have something like luscious lashes and somebody comes up with, luscious lashing or, luscious long lashes or, something that's a little bit too similar, you can say in a cease and desist letter, like, hey girl, not really hey girl, because you're gonna be more scary than that, but you can give them a cease and desist and say like, hey, I actually have this name trademarked and you're infringing on my trademark rights. Please immediately stop using the name that I own in relation to lashing or, the beauty industry. Otherwise, if you do not stop using this, I may have to seek legal recourse. Right. And so you send that to the Instagram. This happens like all the time on Instagram, right? This is where I see it. You send that to the girl on Instagram and they don't stop using your name. Well, now you take it one step further. You contact Instagram. You're like, hey, I own this name. And she's using it in relation to the selling of lash services or the selling of lash products. And so therefore, I want the name or domain taken down. And they'll do it. If they find that it's actually, close enough and they think it is infringing on your trademark, they will cancel the account.
Okay. All right. Now, this is where, not that I think anybody on here or anybody in the community is passive, I don't think that at all. But when we see, we've spent the time, we've gotten over our mindset blocks and we've invested that money, if we see something going down, we got to do something. We got to say something because you got rights.
You got rights. And then, the other thing is, let's say somebody pops up and like we said, you're in Chicago and maybe it's Wisconsin or wherever it is, and they start popping up doing what you do. and somebody goes to them thinking that they were going to you or somebody associated with your brand and has a horrible experience. They go to get that cut like you did. You drove for your stylist, you go to get that cut, and somebody does a horrible job, right? Like somebody just tears up everything you've got going on. Now, next thing, you know what they do when they get mad and when they get a bad haircut? Like anybody, you get a bad haircut, you get a bad service. That's when you first go to Google and you're like, oh, I went to da-da-da-da. And, I had a horrible experience and the person had no idea what they were doing. And, that's when you get the Google review. Well, here's the problem. The problem is now somebody else goes along and they're like, oh, I don't want to go to that place. And they might associate that Wisconsin location with your Chicago location. And now all of a sudden people have a bad taste for your business in their mouth when you had nothing to do with the bad service that happened in Wisconsin.
Very good point. Nothing happened like that to me specifically, but there is Coleman tags. Coleman is my last name, right? It's a million Colemans out there. Somebody came to me and was like, something about my Instagram page. And I click on a link and I was like, that ain't me. That is not me. Do not, like, I get confused with this like other Coleman tag service all the time. I was like, nope. First of all, you're gonna always see my face on my stuff. So that ain't me. But so listen to her because this is actually so we do got another question here. In reference to enforcing your trademark rights. When you reach out to Instagram to report the account or the name, do you need to consult a lawyer prior to doing that, or you can go? This trademark owner can go right to Instagram, and they would go right to.
Yeah, you can go right to Instagram. It's not like it has to be lawyer to lawyer. You can go right to Instagram if they see some type of issue with it, as in they're like, I don't think it's close enough, or I don't really think that's infringing on your trademark for one reason or another. Then you can consult an attorney and try to see if they can get it taken down, or if they can give you a little bit more advice as to why they might not have taken that down. Because here's an example. Just because you own the name in relation to lashes, right, doesn't mean that you own the name in relation to everything. So if somebody has your similar name, but they're doing something totally different with it, then you can't go and say, Instagram, take this down. I own this name. Because Instagram is going to be like, well, what do you own it in relation to? And you're like, beauty services. And they're like, okay, well, this is like fitness, or this is, mental health coaching, or whatever it is, right? And if they're in two different lanes, then they're going to be like, like you don't have a blanket ownership right over it.
And it's, I can't think of any right now, but it's some big names we know that's like that, actually.
Okay. I'll give you one. So for example, Dove soap and Dove chocolate, same name, totally different lanes, so they can coexist. Well, they can kind of coexist with each other because there's not an issue with it, because obviously they have different audiences, and no one's going to be confused that if they go buy Dove soap that they're actually buying Dove chocolate, right?
That's a great example. I use both of those. But anyhow, we do got another question. So let's say IG does remove the page or the account. What is the recourse to get them to stop using it, like on their website? Would you still send them a cease and desist?
I would still send a cease and desist. Here's the thing. So you send a cease and desist. You tell them that they need to stop using the logo in connection to the goods or services you're registered in, or, the domain name. Same thing though. If it's a domain name and they're being hosted by GoDaddy or Wix or, whoever, you can reach out to them and tell them the same thing. They're using this domain name. It is too similar to my domain name. I own the registered trademark, and you can kind of get it shut down that way. But if they're persistent and they are still continuing to use the federal trademark that you have registered, then what you'll have to do is seek out an attorney in that instance. If they, continue on, and you've done what you can do DIY, then you have to reach out to an attorney, because the recourse for that would be to file a, IP lawsuit or a trademark infringement lawsuit, and get damages, whatever those damages are relation to that. So just kind of following up on this, there was a case recently where Pokemon, okay, there was, that's the game, right? A game or show or whatever it is. It's owned by somebody, okay? And this girl on TikTok she was going by Pokemon Girl, and she got viral on TikTok, and she started selling shirts under Pokemon Girl. And she got hit with a trademark lawsuit from Pokemon, and I don't know who it's owned by, but it's owned by one of the big brands, right? The actual trademark for Pokemon. But got hit with a lawsuit, and she actually had to forfeit all the money that she had made from the sale of the t-shirts, and she was required to immediately stop using that name in connection with, t-shirts and everything else, because Pokemon owned the trademark. And so yeah, you can get damages if somebody is continuing to use your registered trademark.
Wow. And you know what? That example is so great because even a brand as big as Pokemon's a $1 billion brand. They don't care who they going after. They don't care how small you are. They shut you down.
They were like, "Oh, you went viral on TikTok, and now you're selling shirts. Like you're tapping into my business." And they were serious about it. And you know what, though? That's that like big boss energy, right? That is that like, I'm a CEO of this business. I really need my business, and I need people that are associated with my brand or business. I need them to know that where the products come from, where the services are coming from. That's that big boss energy where they're like, if someone's going to infringe on my right, I'm going to shut them all the way down. And that's how everybody should be. Once you get your registered trademark, you should keep that energy and, do the same thing.
They better go and hire her for that digital marketing department. She went viral. She continue to help them out. Okay. So let's get to the really, really good part. Can you please tell the community kind of how they can work with you, kind of like what your general process is to begin this whole trademarking journey?
Right. So I love to work with beauty professionals. Obviously, it's like I love the beauty world. That's my space. So I can help out in a various different ways. One of the ways is obviously with trademarks. I can help you from start to finish. What I tell people is, let's do a trademark search before you start anything else, because let's not build a brand we can't own. And I always say we, because I'm with you like every step of the way during the trademark process. So if we do a search and it comes back that that name is going to be too similar to another name, I say we go back to the drawing board. I'm always like, okay, well, we'll go back to the drawing board. Let's figure out a new name. And I'll do another search for you as part of my package. Then after that, we have a name that's good, and we're going to move forward, right? And then I will do the application process. And once you file an application, it takes on average it used to be about 3 to 4 months. I would say you're looking at like 4 to 6 months now. You're really just waiting. So you're waiting for it to get assigned to an attorney at the USPTO, which is the United States Patent and Trademark Office, for those who are unfamiliar. And then once you get the assignment of the attorney, they will go and they'll do their search, and then they'll say, okay, this is too similar to something else. So they'll say, okay, you've got the green light. We're going to go ahead and proceed on in the process. The next step is a 30-day publication period, where anyone else who might be using the name but haven't filed their registration or haven't filed for that trademark can say, oh, wait, hold up a minute. I'm using the name The Beauty CPA, so please don't register that trademark. If everything goes good, no opposition during that 30-day period, then you will go to registration. If you're already using the name. If you aren't, there's one extra step, but then you would go to registration. That is kind of how the process works. I help with all of that for trademarks. And then I also do what I call Beauty Boss Legal question and answer, BBL for short. Although when I got that name, I didn't even think of it. But then I was like, this is a long name. I gotta do an acronym. And then I was like, oh, BBL. It would be BBL. But Beauty Boss Legal, it's a question and answer. So if you have a business that you started already and you want to make sure that you're kind of doing things correctly, or want to see what areas that you might have risk in, I will help with that and kind of sit down, and you can ask me all your questions and I will give you all my answers. It's kind of a consulting thing. And then the final way is contracts. So if you need intake forms, if you need client services agreements to help with chargebacks and help with no shows, late cancellations, refunds, expectations. I help with all of those things in contract template form, as well as if you already have some drafted and you just want to have an attorney review them, I can help with that in custom contracts too.
Wonderful. Well, hey guys, I feel like in the last 45 minutes, Reonna has given us a lot of stuff to think about when it comes to our brands. One, if you see the value and you got confidence, it's going to explode, which I do in you. So you should in yourself, it's worth protecting, right? Two, there are needs and wants. There are orders to all of this while starting your business. We know doing the website and the photo shoots are fun, but at the end of the day, if it can be taken from you, what's the point? Okay. And then I feel like three, I feel like even though this wasn't about the contracts, I feel like the contracts and the policies and getting the check the boxes up front in the client agreement, I think that's very important. And that should be like taken care of like tomorrow. You know what I mean? So where can they find you? Can they connect individually with you going forward?
So I am very active on Instagram. That's like the main social media platform I'm using. You can follow me on Instagram. I give lots of tips and legal advice, not really advice, but legal information on that platform, as well as www.shetrademarks.com. You can book consultations through either. There's a link on my Instagram to do that. I will let everyone know who's watching, I'm doing a live webinar tomorrow. So if you're like, hey, I need more legal, I want to hear more like of what's going on. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about chargebacks. So we're going to talk about what happens when a client either no shows, late cancels, or requests a refund that you deny. And then they're like, that's okay. I'm going to go show her. I'm going to just dispute the transaction. And then you get hit with the chargeback and you have to prove that you're entitled to that money. How do you do it? And so tomorrow I'm going to give the blueprint on that at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if anyone's interested in that, just follow me on Instagram and shoot me a DM with your email, and I will add you to the list for that webinar.
Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome. That is we'll connect offline, but I would like the flyer for that so I could post it to my stories.
Yeah, for sure.
We need to spread the word on that one. That was big. Okay, so Reonna, thank you so much for your time this evening. This was every bit of awesome. I expected nothing less, but it was phenomenal. Thank you for all those quick wins that we all can walk away with and do something beneficial for our businesses like tomorrow. But I hope that all of you watching live and on replay, please hit her up. Start the process of getting your beauty brands protected. Should have been yesterday, but I'll pass. I'll I'll let it go. I'll let you start tomorrow. Okay, get a good night's rest and hit her up tomorrow and go to that webinar. Here's some quick feedback for you. You got J Miz. She says, excited. Thank you so much. And then you got Browse by Cheney. She's saying thank you both. So there's some feedback for you. I promise y'all, we're gonna have her back. We're gonna have her back. We're gonna have her back. It's a very busy season, I'm sure, for everybody. But we will have Reonna back. So don't you guys worry. Everybody, have an awesome evening. Again, if you're watching a replay, drop your comments and your questions in the chat, and then we'll collaborate on something in the future to address those. Maybe. Thank you so much again, everybody. Have a great night. Reonna, you just hold on a bit there, okay?
Okay, bye everyone. Thanks so much for your questions. I hope you enjoyed all the info.